thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to go on the Wayback Machine. This is an Ives Whistler, first introduced in the 1870s, made through the 80s. This is the large Whistler. They offered it in two sizes. Here we have the 1880 catalog here, and you have the little Whistler and the big Whistler, and that's the Master Grand Duke. And here we have the full set here, and this is going to set you back a grand total of $45 for a dozen of them. About $3.50 for this set back in the 1870s. Here's an ad for Ives Blakesley from the Centennial, 1876, where they list the Whistler down here, the very large one. I grew up with this book on my nightstand by Louis Hertz, Collecting Model Trains. And of course, when you see that every day of your childhood, it leaves an indelible impression. So one day, when you grow up, you subliminally want to buy something like this. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't have a whole lot of paint, but in its glory, this was absolutely breathtaking with reds, blues, silver, gold, fleur-de-lis on the top here, green underneath. Just absolutely stunning. And the tender and car were awfully lovely at one time, and unfortunately they didn't prime the paint to last 150 plus years. So unfortunately the paint has peeled, but they were lovely stenciled. This is the Ives factory in Bridgeport, which burnt it in 1900. We don't know exactly if Ives actually made all these or they had them jobbed out. They were covering a lot of small manufacturers that they would sell in their catalog. Now this engine here can either go straight or curve by moving the front wheels here. You can just slide your pilot back and forth depending on what radius you want. I'm running here on concrete, and we have steel wheels, which means it's very slippery. So I have decided to employ the use of magnet traction. See that magnet there? That adds just a little more weight to keep those, add a little more traction to the rear wheel so she doesn't spin out. She doesn't like carpeting too much, so somewhere in between concrete and carpeting would be the ideal. Now, why is it called the Whistler? Well, let me wind it up once and I'll let you know. Hold on. So you have a whistle going on. This side rod here drives this little cylinder, and there's a little whistle element in there that pushes and pulls and simulates a whistle for us. I'm sure 150 years ago this spring was probably a little more lively in its life. There's our spring, typical clockwork. It's fairly thin sheet metal, so it flexes quite a bit. So most of the time when you find these, you're going to find you have to resolder a little bit, and hence we've done that on this one here. So it does run. Of course, the magic is to see it run with the tender and the car. Normally, you just find the engine. You find a lot more engines than you do tenders and cars. So, but it's kind of a magical little set. It's kind of fun that it still runs after 150 years. I'm using a homemade key here. This is not original. Ives, you have to instead of winding clockwise, you're winding counterclockwise. They did that until a little after the turn of the century. So I'll wind it up one more time, fire it up, and we'll watch it run one more time. Thank you. And off we go. Thank you very much for watching. If you like old trains, please subscribe.